Well, everyone, welcome back to the show. What happens when a problem appears, but you have so much money that you can just buy the problem and have it work for you? Well, it seems like at one point, Google actually thought that regarding Epic Games. Yes, Google considered just buying Epic Games. In case you weren't aware, everyone, Google has quite a bit of money. So, new court documents reveal Google considering buying some or all of Epic Games to shut them up during the Fortnite clash. With how much press Epic versus Apple got, it's easy to forget that Epic also launched a lawsuit against Apple for monopolistic practices on the Play Store. Last month, Epic amended and refiled their complaint against Google, and Google recently took the chance to lift some of their own redactions from the document. So while the documentation still does lack significant points about how Google deals with specific companies, we've got some interesting new details, one of which is the headline of today's story. Epic are now claiming that Google actually felt so threatened by Epic's attempts to sidestep the Google Play Store that Google actually just considered, quote, even contemplating buying some or all of Epic to squelch the threat. That apparently is how worried they were about sideloading Fortnite to circumvent the Play Store. And actually, when you think about that, Google Play Store makes a lot of money. A lot of money. And it's not just them thinking, oh no, Fortnite. It's what if Fortnite does it? Then other people can do it. Right? That's your problem. I mean, why can you not buy a Kindle book on iOS? You can get the Kindle Reader app, but you can't buy the book, because Amazon doesn't want to give Apple the 30%. But if Amazon could just sideload Kindle, well, it's going to be a bit of a loss for Apple, right? So you've got all these frosty situations going on, and it is just wild. Now there's an internal Google document that called Epic's plans a contagion. So it's that thing. If it happens here with Epic, it's a contagion. It spreads. It infects the business model. That's what Google are worried about. Now, any elaboration on the topic remains a bit secret. We don't know if Google formally reached out. We don't know what a purchase would have looked like, or really any of this stuff. We also can't even be certain when these discussions were taking place, though they are likely dated to when Epic were planning the Android launch of Fortnite in 2018. But what we do know is that this purchase plan was unbeknownst to Epic at the time. Tim Sweeney said that himself. This was unbeknownst to us at the time, and because of the court's protective order, we're just finding out now about Google's consideration of buying Epic to shut down our efforts to compete with Google Play. So, you could say that is a anti-competitive move from the Google. Epic have also alleged that Google reached out with a special deal to launch Fortnite on the Play Store, and we've got a bit more detail on that. There's a newly unsealed section that reads as follows. One manager contacted Epic's vice president and co-founder to gauge Epic's interest in a special deal and, amongst other things, discussed the experience of getting Fortnite on Android via direct downloading. The manager's call notes state that she viewed direct downloading Fortnite as, quote, frankly abysmal and an awful experience, and that Epic should worry that most will not go through 15 plus steps, because obviously Epic didn't want it to be there in the Play Store. You have to do the sideload, and that would be a bunch of work. Now, Epic claim that Google understands that the myriad barriers it erects to direct downloading have the effect of protecting its app distribution monopoly and limiting developers' ability to distribute your apps. That's the thing with Android. Yes, it is billed as the more open and free platform, and that absolutely is the case. It is way more open and free than iOS, but Google are still going to make you have to put in a whole bunch of work in order to get that freedom, because obviously the less convenient it is, the more you'll just go to their store. Now, Google say they're not having that because they released a statement to The Verge, and it reads, Epic's lawsuit is baseless and mischaracterizes our business conversations. Android provides more choices in mobile devices for developers and consumers. It's just an interesting little tidbit from all of this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Turns out you threaten the big business model, and these companies will squirm a bit.
That's the thing that's really fun. Because I don't know if Google ever really are known to publicly go, oh fuck, this is dangerous. This is dangerous. They always just seem to barrel on without any consideration for what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
So actually knowing that they were a bit going, oh, shit, could our entire Google Play Store revenue fall to pieces if this happens? Like, I love the idea of a lot of people on Android not knowing you can sideload things, and then Fortnite does it, so they learn how to do it via Fortnite.
Yeah.
And then they're like, wait, can I just do this with other APKs? Yes. You can pirate whatever the hell you want, and it's just a little bit difficult. And that's the only thing that's actually... It's that convenience that they're... I mean, you could say technically forcing you. You can understand the reason behind running an app store where you pay for stuff. Otherwise, you don't have anything made. But it's just... It's funny to me that the response is just... Solve problem? No. Buy problem. Throw... Epic are valued at about 29 million this 29 billion this year. I think that's their valuation. So I mean, I don't know how much Google would have to spend to actually, I mean, because obviously Tim would never say yes.
Yes,
but I don't know how much
important.
Tim owns. I know he leads it. I don't know how much he owns. Could they, considering Tencent owns 40%, they could possibly do some form of hostile takeover from Tim's leadership, I think.
I think they could try to mount something.
Yeah, but how much money would that have cost them? Like,
yeah,
billions upon billions upon billions. And it probably wouldn't have got
a
anywhere.
wild situation, and I think one that just shows how important the App Store model is to just to the bottom line of these companies, that they're willing seemingly to go that far. That said, it also could be that there is baseless stuff here, that there is mischaracterized stuff here. At this stage, we can't really know. But thankfully, that's why the whole big legal process exists, and we're going to find out more as time goes on. Yeah,
it's just a shame that the news cycle's so fast, because obviously everyone's covered Apple versus Epic to death.
Yes.
Everyone's covered it for, like, was it like this time last year it started off, or was it something like that?
Ish.
Something like that. So it's like everyone's probably relatively tired of it. So the more fun details that leak out can easily just slip past the wayside, especially with them going back and unsealing documents and stuff like that. But it's just interesting that, that's just a solution.
Yeah.
In business.
Our problem works for me. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I think that's mostly it. I don't think there's too much more that we can add here, but unless you have any other things, I think it's important that we don't forget these cases and we actually do follow up on them. And I think in situations like this, where there is something interesting to be learnt, that still is called up.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's the real takeaways from this. And the only thing that's really sticking out to me is how afraid Google are of people knowing what they can do with their platform.
Yeah.
Which is because obviously in this we have the tweet from Tim where he says this was unbeknownst to us at the time. He followed up with that immediately by saying, would it have been a negotiation or a hostile takeover attempt? Unclear. But here Google talks about the frankly abysmal sideloading experience it created, all while touting Android publicly as an open platform. Which is the case where, they're trying to have their cake and eat it. But going, oh, Android's so free, it's so open. But also it's a pain in the ass if you want to actually avail of that freedom,
yes.
if you're the average customer. So they're selling, all of these customers on open platform, and none of them or very few of them are actually getting the benefits.
Like, I wonder if some of this is just that a bunch of engineers, when it came to Android, really believed in all that shit.
Yeah.
But as time has went on, and Google's a big business, and they need to make big money,
yep,
and they're just probably so envious of the situation with Apple. Because, frankly, if you're a game developer, and, I mean, even if I don't know what it's like for free-to-play, but I certainly know, if you want to do a premium game, it's like almost don't even bother releasing it in Android.
Yeah.
Put it in Google. And I think Google just put it on Apple. I think Google would probably just, they want to move Android in that more iOS-like directions. They get more control. They just clearly are seeing what's going on there.
Yeah.
And I think it's one thing in the streets, another thing in the sheets. No wonder sideloading is not a well-designed and easy-to-do experience. It's not in their business interests.
Yeah, that's a real shame. Because
which, in a way, is fine. I'm not going to say they must act against their own interests. It's just when they say one thing, but then you can sort of see how they're just using that as marketing, but aren't super, super big committed to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's basically it for the story.
Yeah, it's a shame. It does actually remind me of almost the same as the Diablo 2 Resurrected stuff, with the
Yeah.
peer-to-peer multiplayer being removed, where you're like, that's such a pain in the ass, but we can see why you've done it. Is there anywhere in the middle we can have this? But clearly for Activision Blizzard and for Google, it's like, nah.
Clearly, yeah.
No, sorry about that.
Yeah, so that's that. That's how far they're willing to go. And speaking of go, it's time for us to go, because the video is over. Have a good day.